welcome to KBLP, the Book Corner with Denise Harris, and tonight we'll be discussing Gothic fiction. Now, Gothic fiction is a style of writing, and it's got elements of fear, horror, death, gloom, emotions of fear and suspense. Um, a lot of castles, death and decay. Um, a lot of things like that. Madness, ghosts, vampires, werewolves. That's Gothic fiction. So we're going to be discussing some of those tonight. Some of the Gothic fiction books, is Bram Stoker's Dracula, of course. The Picture of Dorian Gray. Anne Rice's writing. Interview with the Vampire, of course. I think everybody knows that. Lestat and all the characters with that. The 13th Tale. Phantom of the Opera. It's all got these elements to it. It's a subgenre of the horror genre. It combines fiction and horror, and sometimes some romance. Picture of Dorian Gray. I loved that book. And the movie was also good. Peter Townsend was awesome as Dorian Gray, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, just for an example, but excellent. Horace Walpole, in his novel, The Castle of Otranto. It's a Gothic fiction with romantic literary pleasures that were new at the time. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, of course, and Edgar Allan Poe. And it dates from the Victorian era with Bram Stoker's Dracula. The Gothic part refers to like the medieval buildings, the castles, the fog and all that, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's what Gothic fiction is. So we're going to be discussing some of these books tonight. So, and why do we like the Gothic novels? Again, it's the adrenaline, it's the suspense, it's the unknown. So, and why were they so popular? It's just because I think of the fact of all those elements, the liking for the strange, the macabre, the supernatural, and the locations. It's and of course the absolute best illustration is Bram Stoker's Dracula, Dracula's Castle. Okay, on House on Haunted Hill, the imposing castle there, and of course that had your ghosts and your settings for that. So it was, it's just the build-up of everything, and that's kind of what we're going to discuss tonight. So, without further ado, I'm going to talk about some of the books, and I think we'll start off with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Of course, you know the backstory: a young scientist who creates a grotesque creature. Basically a scientific experiment. And we all know how that worked out. So, she started writing this story when she was 18, actually. And it was published anonymously. She didn't use her name when she was 20. Her name didn't appear on that book until 1823. Um, Frankenstein itself is infused with the elements of the Gothic novel and Romantic movement. So it's Gothic fiction. Um, in contrast to stories with elements resembling later of science fiction, the central character makes a deliberate decision and turns to experiments in the laboratory to achieve these fantastic results. So, and it has that story's been told for years and years, and it just gets better and better. In the novel, the monster is identified by words such as creature, monster, demon, wretch, and it. The wretch refers to himself as the atom of your labors, which is pretty cool. And she wrote it in a form of a frame story that takes place in the 18th century. So that's an excellent book to start out with if you hadn't. And of course, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Who cannot love that book? And of course, that's popular for introducing the vampire. And it was 1897 when he wrote it. And of course, the story goes his attempt to move from Transylvania to England so he could spread the undead curse. And of course, you have the battle between, good and evil, Dracula being evil, and of course, the famous Dr. Van Helsing. So that's been a theme for the movies for decades. But it's also assigned to literary genres: vampire literature, horror fiction, Gothic fiction. Stoker, he defined its modern form of the vampire. And of course, all the television and movie theatrical films are just amazing. And, you have the main characters. With that, Jonathan Harker, of course, he goes there to do business with him. Count Dracula, of course.